Welcome everyone to the October MCT Meetup, hosted by Tiago Costa. Tiago is a cloud architect, advisor, and international speaker, specializing in Microsoft Azure. With years of experience designing and implementing Azure solutions for Fortune 500 companies, Tiago brings deep, real-world expertise to every session. A Microsoft Azure MVP since 2016 and an MCT regional lead, he holds over 50 Microsoft certifications and is the founder of the Azure Portugal User Group. Passionate about sharing knowledge, Tiago inspires global audiences to explore emerging technologies and harness the power of cloud innovation. Throughout this session, if you have any questions, if you can go ahead and throw it in the chat, and we'll try to get to them at the end of the session. So I'll go ahead and turn the mic over to you, Tiago. The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for the kind presentation. And yeah, so the idea today is just talk a little bit about the future, okay? The future of MCTs in this, current changing world that we have with big changes, happening, and people already, kind of, feeling those changes coming, and some of us already being affected by them. Some good, some could be better. It's a challenge, for sure, and that's kind of what I want to talk a little bit about. It's empowering the future and how MCTs can actually play an amazing role in all of this. Okay, so basically keep keep the chat engaging. Just drop stuff on the chat, okay? And if you want to raise your hands, just be my guest. I definitely don't want this to be just me talking to you. I want this kind of be like a conversation between all of us in here, because the idea on this is to just empower, MCTs with cutting edge AI technology, and how we can basically also use those technologies in our daily lives. But of course, we all have different experiences, and I'm sure you guys have amazing examples that I don't have in my presentation, and I didn't thought about them when I was putting this together. Okay, so yeah, just raise your hands, give me feedback. Just that, and I'm sure we can make this super engaging presentation. Okay, so just doing a short presentation. My name is Tiago. I basically work as an AI and cloud architect, which it's kind of a fancy title to say that I help organizations moving into the cloud. I help organizations, building AI technology, and this ranges from stuff from oh yeah, we have this models that we have in AI Foundry, and we just want to use them, and it's kind of pretty much just consuming the services and that's it, to actually building models. And I'm actually now working um, right now with a company where we're actually building stuff for identity, okay, for the identity space, and we're going to have a lot of AI models, basically just to basically to do and create tokens, okay, so that we actually validate it's actually the user over there and it's not someone impersonating that person. Look, we have a bunch of stuff and we're using AI, and actually it makes us building our own algorithms, okay, having our own training data, and then having those amazing GPUs that we have they cost a fortune. Even if you run them on Azure, we actually have some that we bought. It's amazing, to be honest with you guys. If you're geeks like me, this is an amazing project to be working on. Okay. But I range, of course, in between all of that with fine tuning and things like that. So that's been my life in the past, years, which is kind of a pack to the past for me. Okay, because, and I think I have this in here, something more about me. I actually started my career working in AI. Okay, back in 1998. 99, 2000, something around that. I actually worked in an investigation center from the university where I was studying. Um, and we actually were doing a lot of AI research back then. But of course, back then, yeah, if you didn't want it to be the cool person in the party, yeah, you could be me, basically. I said, hey, what are you doing? "Yeah, I'm doing AI." And people were like, huh? It's like, was not a cool thing, But hey, time changes, like 20-ish years later, now you're the cool kids. It is what it is. And I also love to travel. Okay, so I'm like a global traveler. Love to travel on this. My current stack is basically pretty much AI stuff and a lot of okay, and also a lot of and really a lot of Azure stuff in here. But just doing this, yeah. So I'm also an Azure MVP. I certified trainer, of course. Community lead too, and I'm actually based in Lisbon, Portugal. Okay, which is actually quite a nice place to be because most people don't even know where Portugal is. So that's always safe. Okay. There is a community for MCTs named uh, Channels with Information. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was from the community tenant, I think, and Microsoft is actually closing that, Gregory. So yeah, that's why that got closed. Okay, but it is what it is. So what are you going to talk about? Just like an intro to AI, how this is revolutionary training, practical use cases, build your brand, which is something that I find very, very important. And some conclusions and key takeaways. So the outcomes that I want for today is kind of showcase how MCTs can evolve, okay, and you can actually change rapidly in the learning landscape that let's be honest is changing, and I don't know how many years you guys are MCTs. Okay, you can come here and tell me. I think I'm like 18 or 19 years myself. Okay, you can just go on the chat and let me know. And I'm from the time, and maybe some of you guys are, that we had those 5-day courses, right? And it was pretty much what? Oh yeah, I'm this week I'm training this, and it was every course, almost all courses, okay, were like 5 days, right? And we were like, oh yeah, 5 days. It just matched perfectly, okay, into the week. Then things changed, and nowadays we have some courses that they range from half a day to 1 day to 3, 4 days. There's not that many courses that are actually 5 days, and it's a trend. It's not Microsoft that is kind of making the decisions just because. There's actually a trend from people that people don't want to be for a full week into a classroom, learning something. They don't have the time, they don't have the availability for that, and that's a change that we need to incorporate in our business. Okay, and then we can actually, and we're going to demonstrate how AI tools can improve training and building something very, very quickly, and how to encourage MCTs to build their personal brand and also their community impact, which I think it's actually quite an important thing. And I actually work on this for many, many years. It's one of those things that, to be honest, I was just going to give you like the best tip ever for you to build your brand. It's just one single word, sorry, consistency. Okay, I see a lot of people asking for my help. Hey, Tiago, I see you all the time, on social network, blah blah blah, etc. Yeah, I really wanted to do that. Yeah, sure, I help everyone. So I honestly feel that there is a lot of space for a lot of people to work on that. And I tell them, hey, you should do this, and this. And then, yeah, you see them doing that. But definitely you're not going to see results on the first week. You're not going to see results on the first month. maybe you start seeing some results after a year or so. Okay, this takes time. Okay, to be picked up, but after a while, if you do this constantly, consistency, there you go. You start to see the results, and yeah, and then of course you get more motivated. Let's be honest, right? To do this. Okay, so for example, I have some YouTube channels, and I have like probably like 40, 50 different YouTube channels, and one of them is actually quite a success. And it's basically stuff just for kids. You never see my face. My name is not associated anywhere there. No one knows it's me. And that stuff gets millions of views. Okay, and it's kind of a brain rot for kids. If you know the concept. Then I have my own YouTube channel that has just 1,000 people or something like that. That I actually deliver amazing content that people can learn a lot from that, and the number of views is not that much. But hey, we still need to keep pushing, okay? Because who knows, one day you might get that part, and I like to do it. So even if no one watches, I don't care. I just like to publish stuff and put stuff out, okay? So yeah, let's very quickly, just introduction to AI in the AI and in the training industry. You know that we have this by 2025. The global AI education market is expected to reach around $25 billion. Okay, so definitely this. If I can get just a small chunk here, right, of those 25 billions, I'll be an happy Tiago. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? And for example, what I have done, and I can share what I have done, no worries with that. I actually have a bunch of courses like for users on AI, like AI fundamentals, but for users, not for that Azure AI fundamental stuff that we have. No, it's just, how become more productive with AI. And I actually have those courses in some platforms. And for example, my course that I have with basically with person, okay, uh, gets around 30,000 views a month, okay, which is like a lot. You can impact, in a year like 300, 400,000 people with that course. And of course, that's revenue that you're going to get. Okay, um, that's actually quite nice because it's the market of the masses, right? You're not just targeting any more technical people that work in IT pros, developers, data engineers, etc. No, you're basically pushing to everyone. Like Copilot, a lot of people, want to use Copilot. But let's be honest, yeah, let's put licenses of Copilot for everyone in my company to use, and I'm going to pay for that. And I don't mind paying for the licenses that my staff uses in my company because I teach them. And I told them, look, this is the potential. This is what you can do. And we actually did a lot of, training and a lot of push on how to use this so that they become more productive. Then the 30, in my case, euros that the license cost, it's nothing, okay, for what they can deliver more. If I don't train my staff, yeah, I'm just spending 30 bucks, 30 euros, 30 whatever it is in your currency, but you're just spending money because people are not using that. So there's a huge market here for you to grab some stuff. And what's the role of MCTs in all of this? Well, first of all, leading. Okay? Trainers, are going to be key to prepare, staff of those companies. Okay? There's a huge opportunity, like I was saying. Okay? There is, of course, then the get ready too. Okay? Which is, as an MCT, you're basically always very, very close with Microsoft technology. And of course, you're very close to the cutting edge AI tools that Microsoft launches, and very easily you can learn them. And we have resources like, slides, courses, labs, You can just, fire up an extreme lab and just learn something, okay, about that. So that's actually quite cool, what you can do with that, and basically, upscale, yourselves, okay, which is actually something that we have. I also want to talk about some of the current, challenges that we currently have in traditional training. At least my vision of this. And look, come to the chat. Let me know what challenges you think currently today traditional training has. Okay, just go in the chat very quickly. Just write something there so that I can also incorporate this in my presentation today. But what I see is this. First of all, limited personality or personalization. Sorry. And I see this a lot because, hey, this is the course. Boom, done, delivered. And, it's like one size fits all. And we all know, yeah, it's not, exactly that. It's like, for example, I don't know if you ever had a suit that was tailor-made for you. Okay, so I always used, I used to work and I had to wear a suit and always just buy from the rack, just, yeah, whatever, that suit. And it was that. But once, my brother got married, etc., and I was like, oh, let me buy, a proper suit. And I actually had the tailor-made suit. I got a fan, I became a fan of that. I was like, I'm never going back, to wear from the rack. Well, I have to sometimes because, budget-wise, okay? But it's different. And training is exactly the same thing, If I just go to a company and I can actually hear them, and I can actually even go to a point that I can actually personalize, training per student, not just per the group, but even per student. My God, that's going to be amazing because we all know, even when we teach, and for example, even 3-4 weeks ago, this actually happened to me. Private class to a company. I actually had some pre-calls with the customer, understanding, what they wanted. Okay, let's remove this from the class. Let's just add this. And we kind of tailor-made something for them, okay? And they were like super happy with it. Then I get the students, right? And I had a super heterogeneous team there. I had guys that were like, yeah, we're like experts. We work with this every day, and we're here to learn a lot more. And they came with amazing questions, like super advanced questions, which I personally loved it. And then I had the other half of the class with people, and I'm sure you guys recognize this for sure because it happened to you guys too someday, like totally newbies to the topic. And I'm like, how the hell your company wants me to make everyone happy, right? It's just not possible. I have to find, a ground there. And of course, first day I just email the training provider saying, hey, look, this is happening in the course, please talk with the customers so that they give me some directions on what should I do. Because, I can do this, or this. And, I think I'm going to do this, but, let me know what they want me to do. Because, there's always, if I just help the advanced ones, the other ones will be like clueless. They don't get anything. If I'm going to help those, the advanced, students will be like, oh, boring. He's not teaching stuff that we really wanted to see. So there's no winning there. Well, in the end, we got to, to an agreement there. Time intensive. Okay. So we trainers, look, we spend tons of time doing admin tasks. Okay. Also creating content. Even, for example, before this call, I was actually in a Microsoft call, but before that, I was actually here and I'm actually creating a course on AI. And, I was actually basically, creating some slides, okay, about some. So I'm actually creating content on this. But other stuff like grades, assignments, if you work for a school or something like that, managing schedules, there's that. And there's the scaling issues that, for example, I suffer a lot, which is, how I'm going to deliver, this to bigger audiences. And for example, today I got like a request from a customer like, hey, Tiago, can you teach this course? Yes, on this date. No, already busy, so there's also that. How do you scale yourself? Okay. And this is, another challenge that we have. Okay. And how can you basically deliver to a diverse audience? Because, they all come with different backgrounds. Engagement challenges. There's always a big challenge because sometimes we have a lot of people that, they just don't even turn their cameras on. They just, stay there static. They just say good morning. And then in the end, they just say, hey, bye bye, Tiago. We need to find ways, okay, to engage with them. Okay. So opportunities that AI can help you on this personalization. Okay. So I'm actually working on a platform where based on the usage, based on how you do on the labs, based on how you do, on questions that we ask you and stuff like this, we're going to tailor made basically, your your guide into the course. It's like for, a course that we're building, but if you already know, for example, I don't know, like Azure Bicep. Yeah, I already know. Okay, well, we don't need to teach you that, and we can just go straight away, and we can just give you some questions. We can give you some exercises where you need to do some bicep stuff, and then we can see if you really know the stuff or you already only told that you know the stuff. And if we see, well, you told us that you know this, but we feel that there's some polishing to be made on this, well, we can add this up again. So it's the content is totally dynamic. There's not a fixed outline, okay, for you. And of course, this is totally automatic. There's an AI algorithm in the back that's going to, understand this, or at least we're trying it to make it to understand, because that algorithm still doesn't work quite well, to be totally transparent with you, but we're working on it. Uh, Automation. Look, AI can automate a lot of stuff. And look, I can just go in here, for example, and, let me just, for example, let me go, which is this? Yeah, we can use this. So if I just go here, and this is the free version of ChatGPT, okay? And, I could just go in here and look, I can just cat it here. I can just, I don't know, create me, 3 questions, about Azure AI Foundry. Questions need to have 4, possible answers. One should be the correct. And I also need to have a short explanation why that is the correct. Okay, this is a really bad prompt, to be totally transparent with you. And look, you can just build something like this. Say, what's the primary purpose of Azure AI Foundry? Okay, and look, we have like 4 options in here, A, B, C, D. Correct is B, okay, so that's the correct one. And there's a short explanation. Look, you can just take this, put this in one of the many, possible tools to share some questions, okay, with your students. It could be a PowerPoint, okay, if you feel that's the best for you, and you just put it there, and you can just share that, and do something good to students, like, hey, let's do this question, hey, what is the primary purpose of this? And look, of course, take this, like everything from AI, with a grain of salt. Look at this and see, is this correct? Okay, don't take it for granted. Okay, because sometimes you will. There are some questions that could be they could be much better. The question itself, or it gives you a wrong answer or something like that. Okay, but this, could just be something that, look, you can, it can definitely help you. Okay, so for example, for grading, okay, exams and tests and stuff like this, I actually, the other day I built for for a school, an automation that they have to grade tests. Okay, and basically it's multiple answers and stuff like this, but it's on a paper. So they digitalized everything to PDF. They send the PDFs into because they have to already. Okay, they send those into the model, and the model just gives you a score, just like that. Okay, so automation. Look, there's tons of stuff that we can do. Okay, with this. Then improving engagement. Look, creating chat bots, having a virtual assistant that you can use together with your training. Oh, there's this chat bot here because look, I'm presenting right now. If you have questions, just chat with with a virtual Tiago, and then he has knowledge about the topic. He has basically a data source about the topic, and your students can just go and can just ask stuff about the course that you're currently teaching. Okay, and you can have like a lot of automated answers for for that. Okay, so I'm actually building a bot for Teams, and actually an integration with Teams, that if I'm teaching on Teams, I can actually have a model behind the scenes answering questions that people put here, okay, on the Teams message. So that's I don't have that built, okay, but I'm actually wanted to build that. It's not even started. I have a model, I have a website. You go on the website. I just need to create, uh, basically the connection between Teams and that stuff. So it's not the end of the world. Then, of course, data-driven insights. Yeah, we can collect lots of data and then use this data, to become better trainers and understanding. Hey, I explained this way. People got it. People didn't got it. That's stuff that we can do. And look, there's a growing demand for this new skills. Okay, because AI is changing job requirements. Okay, so we have AI in a lot of different industries being, kind of a requirement for people to know. And we're going to see a lot of big differences between people that actually know their stuff and they know how to use AI to, become more productive, and the people that they know their stuff, but they don't know how to use AI. And they are going to be afraid of AI and all of that part. So trainers will play a big role with this in order to demystify, okay, AI too, and tell them, look, it's a great technology, but come on, okay, it doesn't do what you think probably it does. It doesn't do that yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. I think we need to demystify this too, okay? But make sure that, look, there's some great use cases where today we can use this, okay? And this is what we can do. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do, okay? And I think that's actually important, to have in here. As an MCT, you need AI. Okay, you should embrace this. If you want to be aligned with Microsoft, okay, that's where Microsoft is putting all the chips, right? I think it's obvious. And like we had with cloud, like we had with previous, changes that we had. It's just another change, and we as MCTs, yeah, we need to adapt to that. Okay, Gregory, yeah, thank you for hanging out here, okay, with us at least the first half an hour, okay? So, AI is just revolutionized this. We can create personalized learnings, okay? Um, like I was saying, dynamic content recommendations, okay? Like, hey, you're doing this module. You did well on this module. Maybe this one is something that is interesting for you. Or, hey, you did that well on this part. Oh, I have like some supplemented material here for you to, learn a little bit more about this. Maybe you need this because you did well. Well, maybe you don't tell them like that, but you get the point. So that's something that, yeah, sure, we can build this. Like I was saying, AI-driven chatbots. Okay, so I'm actually building something like this. Actually, this is not the bot service anymore. I need to update this presentation. Uh, the name changes. It's not longer the bot service, okay? But basically what we can do with this is, creating, kind of like a bot in the end, okay, that you can have chats with, and your students can have that, okay? So yeah, this could be something that is interesting. Gamification is also another point that we can use on this. We can actually also do real-time feedback and analytics, like immediate feedback for learners. Okay, make sure that they understand their strengths, their areas that they need to improve. Okay, so that's something that we can actually do on this. For example, I actually have this, and I built for a company. This was a private training that I did for a big company about just pure coding development. Okay, and what I use is I used Azure DevOps, and I used GitHub. Uh, what's the name of that? GitHub Advanced Security, KQL, or no, how do they call it? Basically, it's like a technology from GitHub. Doesn't matter. It's another technology from GitHub to get me feedback about the code that they just pushed into a repository. What's the code quality of this? Taking that information and sending that information, to the LMS, telling them, look, this is what you posted. Okay, this is what you sent to the repo. Okay, it works because you passed the tests that we had. Functionally, it works, but this could be improved. Do you want to improve? And we actually use those professional tools to incorporate in training, to give you some, basically some cool information about the code that they just created. Okay, just an example of something that we can do. And I'm just sharing here, just a little bit, because there's much, much more. I just don't have the time, okay, for this, to be totally honest. More things that we can do. Um, Impact, okay, on the effectiveness on the training. Having retention rates. This will retain your students better, okay? Because definitely they are started seeing all these things in the, look in the technology that you're using in their trainings. And it's not just Tiago on a Teams call and, just sending some stuff to them. Hey, now let's do this lab. Then we do the lab. And in the end of the lab, hey, any questions with the lab? Oh, no. Okay, moving on. Right? Because that's the traditional training. We need to change this. If you want to keep having customers and having students in the class with you, that's something that definitely we need to have that. And we need to have technology also to help us to be more scalable. For example, in my case, I actually build an LMS where people can go, and I'm recording all my courses. I'm putting all my content there. Uh, I have practice tests. I have a lot of content over there that people can just go and they can just learn with me 24/7. Okay, and it's not just, hey, they need to register for a class with Tiago. No, they can go there, and it's VLT. It's an asynchronous experience. It's not traditional classroom being on site or virtual classroom. No, it's not. Okay, I still do that definitely, and I still want to keep doing that. But this is a way that I found also to scale this to more people. Because if you're in the classroom, yeah, you are on site. How many seats do you have in your classroom? 18. There you go. You can scale up to 18. Then you are also in a certain location. What location is that? Again, something that will limit, people to have a class with you. Then of course, if you go virtual, you say, oh, virtual, hey, you can have as many as you want. Well, there's also a limit, because you want to provide good experience and good support. And, there's going to be a limit of a certain number that you say, hey, I can handle, this number of people. So then let's talk about practical use cases, okay, that we have for just basically for MCTs. So one of them is, look, automate creation of content. Okay, why not? Develop quizzes. You saw me doing this. Practice assessments. Okay, presentation slides. And we have amazing tools like Microsoft Copilot, Azure OpenAI. You have Mistral. Look, you have DeepSeek, Llama from Meta. Look, lots of great models that you can use this, to do all this, okay? But also not just that, but why don't you, in the end of the day, just generate, okay, a summary of your call? And for example, in my case, I have Microsoft Copilot. I do a call, and I'm transcribing the call. And, every time that, I finish a module, I finish some kind of a presentation, I just ask my co-pilot, hey, can you summarize this bit here? Sure. He summarizes. I have like 3 or 4 prompts that I do. Create some bullet points, create some flashcards, and I basically send this to my students all like right away. Everyone is like always super impressed. Hey, amazing, etc. It's just hey, it's just Copilot, okay? It's not going to be perfect, but it's definitely something that it's going to be nice for you to, consume, especially if we're doing like a class where preparing people to take the Microsoft certification. They always want to have, to get something out of those classes. And there's a way that's just a way to do that, okay? Then we also talk about training deliveries, okay? So sometimes it happens with me. I'm teaching in English, and I have people that they're from certain countries that they're not comfortable with English, or they're not like totally comfortable with English. Look, we have Teams, and on Microsoft Teams, we can just definitely enable translations. But look, I can also put subtitles here, even on a screen. Okay, so let me just change the screen now here so that you can see the presenter view. Okay, I'm doing on purpose. And if you go to subtitles settings and then more settings, you can actually see here, hey, you know what? I'm talking in, for example, Portuguese in Brazil, and I want the subtitles to show in English, okay? So let's do this. I'm going to click here to activate the subtitles. I'm just changing to the other screen, and I'm just going to talk a little bit in Portuguese, just a paragraph, so that you can see this working, okay? Muito bem-vindos à minha formação de Azure. See? Let me just deactivate it. Welcome to my Azure training. Was perfect. That's what I said, by the way. I think we have someone from Brazil, correct? I think Pedro, Vanildo Pedro, I think is probably from Brazil. At least your name tells me that you are. Mozambique. Yeah. Okay, there you go. That works too. And he got what I said. So because he speaks Portuguese, definitely. So, and look, this could be, you could do the inverse, right? Telling, in English, and then I have people that are like, we're from France or Germany, whatever. Hey, they can put the basically the captions in their own language. That's something that you can do, and you can actually do the same thing in Microsoft Teams too. Okay, I just showed you PowerPoint, but look, you can do this. Look, this in PowerPoint, this is a free thing. You don't pay for this. It's like amazing, okay? What you have in here, okay? Then, there you go. I have this with Teams and Copilot, so we can have live training sessions, live captions. We can use whiteboards, surveys and quizzes. You can do transcriptions with Copilot and then create summaries based on those transcriptions. There's a lot of cool stuff that we have here. Then we talk about something that I'm a huge fan, which is build your brand. Okay? This is what I was talking about that, one of the things that I feel that, look, you should do. I only have 2 slides for this, okay, to be honest, because, look, I could be here talking for hours about this. So, for example, myself, I speak a lot in conferences, okay? And I like to go on conferences and share my knowledge on a conference. And yeah, most times on those conferences, look, I'll be totally transparent with you. I'm not going to be paid for it, okay? Because we go as a community effort and we do it for free. Sometimes, I'm investing my own time, and I work for myself, which it helps me make those decisions, okay? Because I don't have to, kind of justify to my boss or something like that. But one of the things that I do is, look, I'm going. I have to pay a flight. I have to pay hotel, food, all that. It's always money that you're going to spend, but I see that as an investment. And of course, hey, I do that. And look, I got a lot of contacts from those conferences, people that are like, hey, I see that you're a trainer to Tiago. I saw your LinkedIn profile. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, I have some staff in my company. Hey, we have a call for, talk about this? Sure. You get the contact, and you can make a deal with that. I have customers where I'm doing consulting. I have customers where I'm doing uh, training from time to time with their teams, and I train their teams, etc. That they came through this kind of stuff. Okay, so sometimes people, oh yeah, you're just spending money and having fun. I was like, well, yeah, sometimes we also have fun, because there's always a speaker dinner. There's people that you start to be friends of, and yeah. Okay, for example, next week there's going to be a huge conference called Azure Dev Summit. It's going to be here in Lisbon, and I have dinners every day of that week with people. So I need to go out to every day. I go out to have dinners with lots of different people on that week, because friends that you make, they come to the conference. It's my city. Hey, I need to take them out. Um, but it's also an investment in terms of like marketing, okay, that you can do. There's other ways. If you don't like to speak at conferences, you don't need to do it. You can blog, and you can just write a blog. You can just write articles on LinkedIn, share some stuff like valuable information on LinkedIn. And look, to be honest, I see a lot of people sharing, some stuff on LinkedIn that you look at it and you see, well, this was actually, clearly, clearly, they just went on ChatGPT and hey, generate something for me to post on LinkedIn. Look, it's not going to get you the views that you might want, because it's going to be pretty bland. It's not going to be. Try to alter something yourself. Create a proper article. Give value to your audience, because if you give value to your audience, when they see something that you post, they were like, ah, that's Tiago. I need to read this, because he always posts great stuff that I like. Okay, and sure, you can go there and they can have some value out of that. That's also one of the key things, is create stuff that people can actually, have and see that they have some value on it. Okay. Then, engage through community events. Look, speak at meetups like this one. Okay. I love to do this. Okay. But like you could do other meetups, webinars, conferences. Okay. Um, you start to get visibility, start to get connections. But again, I'm going to tell you again this. Don't expect that overnight, because you spoke one time, you're going to get a lot of stuff. Probably nothing it will happen. And you do it again, and probably nothing will come out. And you do it again and again and again until someday, yeah, that will show up. Consistency again. Correct? And also, when there is a call for speakers open on a conference, try to make a session that, an abstract for a session that you look and, hey, yeah, this is cool. I'm actually going to solve a problem. I'm actually teaching something to some people because that not everyone knows this. And look, sometimes it's incredible that, for example, the other day, I actually submitted 2 sessions for a conference, okay? One was a session that I was like, hey, I don't know if I need to post, I should, submit this or not. But I don't know why, I just did it anyway. Okay. Then I submitted a second session that I consider to be like a freaking amazing session. Okay. It's about AI and, fine tuning models, talking about RAG, actually explain how RAG behind the scenes work and all this really like level 400 session is amazing. Okay. Um, they selected the other one, which is like an introduction to AI. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I delivered the session in the conference. I had, you know, a room that was full. There were people standing up in the back of the room. The room was fully packed. And there was another, which actually is my friend, that he did the other session that I did. He did a very similar session. Then I told him, hey, look, I even helped him building the session and everything because I had already my session built. So I gave them my PowerPoints. They just use whatever you want because I really wanted to do this session, and just do it. And I was in this session, and the session was amazing. Okay, he had like 15 people in a room that fits like 100. Only 15 came to that session. I was like, if it was me, it will be the same thing, or even less people will come out. Sometimes, even easier sessions, you're going to get an impact on people. That's what we're here, impact people. And you'll be impressed that sometimes, those are actually some of the cool things to do. So this is for people that, oh, I don't want to speak in conference because I don't know all those very complex things and stuff like that. No. Then social networks. Yeah, you need to work on this, okay? Even if you don't like it, look, it's where people are, especially like LinkedIn, you can have like a lot of great connections on LinkedIn. Then people can just reach out to you. And for example, I'm always getting, connections on LinkedIn. Hey, Tiago, we have this project. Can you help us on this? Or, hey, Tiago, we need a trainer for this. Sure. Hey, I'm there to help. And I get a lot of work out of that. And someone that works for myself, like myself, that's important. It's kind of my marketing department too. And, you need to spend some time doing this. And of course, you can get to a huge, wide audience. We have like millions and millions and millions of people, okay, on LinkedIn, okay? Then also, let's not forget mentor and collaboration. So I mentor some people, and I help them, just do whatever I can, as a mentor for them. Um, if it is like, for example, speaking, we submit sessions together. And I know, they lack some speaking skills. I train them as much as I can, but there's nothing like the stage. They go on stage and, the butterflies, on your tummy, when you have the butterflies in your tummy, I still get them. Okay. Sometimes people, even the other day, I was actually doing an interview and someone asked me, hey, Tiago, do you still feel? For sure not, right? And I was like, no, I do. Even before our meeting started, I was like a little bit nervous, It is what it is. And to be honest, personally, that's why I do it. That's why I like doing it, is because of that feeling too. The day that I will not have that is the day that I say, hey, I don't care about this anymore because I don't have that anymore. So I think that's me. Okay. I'm sure you probably might have a different opinion on that. And look, fair point to you. Okay. But that's me. I always have them. And, sure, of course, I'll be honest too. It's not like I'm not in panic like it was the first time, for example, that I spoke at Ignite. Okay. So first time I spoke at Ignite, I had a room that fits like 500 or 600 people. It was like more than half full. And, I was on stage and I was like, okay, where is the door so that I can run away? I was super nervous. But then, you start the session and it gets better. Okay. And of course, when you do it again and again and again, yeah, you get better at doing it. So that's something that I like share this experience with others, okay, and mentor them so that they can actually be great speakers, okay, in the future. And first sessions, maybe they want to do it together with me and we do like a co-session. It's easier for them, they have a backup if something goes wrong. I'm there to help them, they're not alone, and happy to do this. I never had anyone doing this for me, unfortunately. Okay. So I actually feel the pain that I had, okay, on this. But for example, as an MCT, I had. So as an MCT, I actually had a mentor that he helped me really a lot at the beginning, understanding the program, understanding how to teach. And then, sure, it helped me. Then, after a while, you do your style, you start doing things slightly different because it's not so much your style, the style of that person, but at least, to get started, it's a great help, definitely, that helped me like a lot. Okay. So that's what I have here. Then just have like some more, like one more slide about the future of AI. Okay, in training, hyper personalized learning, advanced analytics, so that you can take a lot of stuff from this AI driven co-trainers. Okay, and also AI as a skill by itself. Okay, so I kind of already talked about all this, and this one here is like those AI literacy, okay, classes. I don't know if you remember many, many, many years. This is for the older, sorry, not older, the more experienced trainers here today with us. Back in the days, I was actually not even an MCT. Uh, we used to teach something called IT literacy, okay, computer literacy, where we teach people this is a computer, okay, this is a keyboard, this is a mouse, and teach people how to use those things, okay. Um, we are now doing the same thing, but with AI. Because there's a lot of people using AI tools, but they don't know what they're doing. Okay. They have a huge power in their hands, but they just don't know how to use it. Okay. So basically, I think that's kind of what I wanted to tell you today. I have some conclusions and some key takeaways, for you. We can open them, all of them. Uh, you know, this AI is a catalytic for transformation in training. Okay, so embrace it. AI applications, they are ready for MCT. So start leveraging AI, tools today. Ethics is also a very important thing. So ensure that fairness, transparency, and inclusiveness are baked, okay, into your AI training programs. Build your brand. So build your online brand. You don't even imagine how cool it is, not having to search for stuff and you're getting always busy because of that, because of the connections that you do. And it's not just one strategy, like, oh, online, post stuff online, just that. No, it's that. It's speaking in conference, okay? Is going to conferences as an attendee, like MCT summits and stuff like this, okay? And, CAI as something that is shaping the future of training. It is. It's not something that we're going to say, oh yeah, it's the future or something. No, it's already, okay, changing the way that we teach, because we teach AI, but we're also using and incorporating, AI in a bunch of things that we can deliver. Okay. So those are my conclusions and my takeaways. I hope that you enjoyed today's session. Okay, and I'm more than welcome to get some feedback out of you, and I also would love to, to get in touch. So if you can just go to this website, okay, follow.tiagocosta.pt. I can put it in here, okay. And if you want to keep in touch with me, you have my LinkedIn here. That's usually where I live more time. But you also have other stuff that I post, and you also have my LMS in here. And if you want to get something from here that is paid, just send me a message and I will send you a voucher for that. Okay. MCTs get access for free for my platform. Okay. I don't have it anywhere set, but okay, MCTs, they get free access. Okay. So you can now and you can spread the word. Even if it's another MCT and they need access to something that I have there, you just let them send me an email through the platform, and I will give them access. Okay. So there you go. So that's it. Thank you so much for attending. Okay, it was a pleasure.